What is going on, StreamYard community? In this live stream, I'm going to be talking about some settings inside of YouTube and inside of StreamYard and how they relate to each other in terms of, you could be, if you have things set up incorrectly, you could be costing yourself views. You could be doing little things like messing up to where you're not going to have like a live stream replay on your live stream, for example, on YouTube. And some of these things actually apply to you regardless of the software that you're using to live stream. But of course, here on the StreamYard channel, because that's what I use for everything now for live streaming. So everything that we're going to be talking about is actually going to be framed around doing this with StreamYard. So for that, I'm going to be walking you through this process. And then after we get through the actual information of what it is I'm going to be sharing today, we're also going to do a Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions about any of the settings that we talk about or anything related to YouTube and live streaming, then definitely hang out for that, because I'll be pulling those questions directly out of the chat so that we can get you straightened and taken care of there. So as we get into this, the very first thing that I want to bring to your attention is you may or may not have noticed when you go live with StreamYard that it's just super easy, right? There's not a lot of options that you need to fill out or anything like that. You can just go directly up onto YouTube. So it makes it super easy. But there are some things within YouTube that it's a really good idea to go in there and get those things set up after you schedule your stream within StreamYard. So the very first thing that we're going to do in this situation is I'm going to show you an example here. So when you log into YouTube and you come in from your, when you actually click on the create content option and then you come into the live streaming area, you're going to see in here the actual live stream that you have scheduled inside of StreamYard. And if you click on that, the very first thing that I want to show you is you can see here that if I don't upload my thumbnail inside of StreamYard by itself, it actually grabs my YouTube channel art and it makes that the thumbnail. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna see if it's still here or not. I had this open on my phone before the live stream, and I'm just gonna scroll up here really quick. Yeah, it is, and I'm just gonna show you here, so you can see how this is inappropriately set on the actual phone itself. So basically, because I didn't upload a thumbnail inside of StreamYard before I did this, what YouTube does is it actually defaults to the channel art of the YouTube channel. So because of that, you want to make sure that you do this inside of StreamYard, not inside of YouTube. Now, of course, you can go in and change it inside of YouTube later, but the idea here is that you want to make sure that you get this all taken care of, at least on the thumbnail side, thumbnail title, that you get that taken care of first before you actually schedule the stream within StreamYard. Now, once you're inside of YouTube, and then you click inside of the videos here. Oops, hold on, going the wrong direction. There we go. Once you're inside of your YouTube channel, if you go to the live option here, if you click into your videos, you go into the live option. If you click into here, and you can do some of this as well inside of the Stream Now settings as well. And I'm going to show you how to get to that right now. Basically, when you go to create, you just click on go live. And then once you're in here, hold on, I got to bypass this because it's a new channel. Okay, we're just going to allow this. Whoa, I just did that incorrectly. Give me 1 second here. Create, go live. We are not actually pulling this in live right now. Come on. Okay, we're going to go to streaming software. There we go. Okay, so here, basically, when you go into the manage option, then you're going to see the actual stream here. Now, in this situation, if I click into it from here, YouTube is going to default have this pop-up that happens here to where you have to mark this. And this is a legal thing with inside of StreamYard. But basically, they have this pop-up to where you are forced inside of YouTube to let them know if the stream is set for kids or not. So the reason I'm bringing this to your attention is if you are streaming from StreamYard and you're not looking into YouTube before you stream, then you don't have the option to check this. And since you don't have the option to check this at this point in time, and I know some of these things StreamYard is going to be implementing in the future, but I just want to bring these to your attention now so you can go ahead and implement these, as you go live onto YouTube. But basically here, legally, for the sake of categorizing your content and making sure that it's getting in front of the right people, but also making sure that it's not getting in front of the wrong people, you need to make sure that you have this marked as not for kids or for kids if you are streaming for that type of an audience. But in this example, I'm going to go ahead and just click on no, it's not made for kids. Now, you can see right here there's not tons of options in terms of, additional things to do on this page. Now, of course, you can tweak your title, you can tweak your description, you can also tweak your category as well, which we're going to get into here in just a second. But the most important thing in this particular area is the selecting that it is or is not for kids. Now, once you have that selected, you can hit save and then you're good to go there. Now, if we go back to the video details page, and again, this is inside of the Creator Studio, you would get to this by going to videos and then to live, and then into the actual live stream itself. Now here, even though you select it here that it's not made for kids, it doesn't automatically do it that way inside of that live stream setting inside of YouTube. So just as a heads up, I just wanted to make sure to bring that to your attention for that reason, to make sure that you're not just doing it here and then assuming that it's correct. So you need to do it in this spot, and you need to do it in the other place that I just showed you as well. But in addition to that, I just have this right here. I just put this one together and scheduled this as an example that we can use for the stream today. So the description isn't fully filled out. But inside of StreamYard, of course, they give us the description, they give us the title. So that part is absolutely perfect. And then as we scroll down the page, if you did need to change your thumbnail later in the future, like after, the video is already published, let's say you go in, you do some editing to the video, or you just want to update the thumbnail, or you want to A/B test your thumbnail, then in that situation, you can do that from inside your YouTube channel. But some of the limitations are some of the things that I'm going to be sharing with you right here in a second. So one thing as well is if you are streaming and you are putting content together, let's say it's training content for your community, and you are putting that content together so that it is to be, consumed in a playlist. So, you go live, you train your audience, and then you turn the live stream off, and then you basically organize that into a playlist so that you have, an entire playlist full of videos or live stream replays about a specific thing that you are instructing people about. Then in that situation, you want to make sure that you are coming into YouTube and that you're using this playlist option as well, so that you can categorize your videos appropriately. Now, with this, YouTube also tells us that if you set a playlist as a series playlist, that the videos are more likely to get recommended next to each other on the platform. So what that means is, or when they're watching other videos next to the other videos in that series. So what that means is, let's say that you have a video about, something. let's just say, for the sake of making it easy, let's say that you're teaching people math, okay? And you are putting together a math playlist. Well, if you make it just a normal playlist, then in that situation, the likelihood of your other videos showing up there, it's okay. But when you mark your playlist as a series playlist, you're actually increasing the chances of YouTube recommending your replays next to each other in that situation. And I'm going to show you how to do that here in just a little bit, or where that box is that you would need to check for that. But one of the things that you got to make sure that you're doing is that you are categorizing your videos into playlists, because that helps on YouTube side, and that also helps on the consumer side in terms of, just being able to find the content that your viewers care about the most, making it easy for them to find that stuff. Now, as we keep going down the page here, other things here are extremely important when it comes to YouTube. So the very first one is, if you are doing content that is in any way sponsored. Let's say, for example, you have somebody send you a coffee cup, or you have somebody send you a mouse or a phone or a piece of audio equipment because you're a live streamer, right? And they send you microphones so that they'll be on screen all the time and things like that. Well, if you're doing like a review of this microphone and they gave this to you, legally, you have to mark this checkbox here that says that your video contains a paid promotion, product placement, sponsorship, or endorsement. And the reason they have you mark that box is because if you say it in the video or not, and legally you're supposed to, but if you say it in the video or not, this gives YouTube the option to make sure that they put the includes promotion tag on your video. So when people actually click into it, they come in to watch your video, they're going to see that tag there, letting them, basically disclosing that, there might be some type of motive behind the review that you're doing on the microphone, for example. So it's really important to make sure that you do that. Now, as we keep scrolling down, the next thing that we have here in our list inside of YouTube is the tags. Now, tags are the least important thing that you need to worry about on YouTube, but they are still a feature. And because of that, you still want to make sure that you're using them. So when it comes to, and that's this box right down here, and the ones for the promotions that I was talking about before is right up here. That's the one that you would need to mark. And they have the disclaimers around all this stuff, so you can find out a little bit more information if you need it. But the next box down here is the tag box. Now, here's the thing with tags. a lot of YouTube content creators, they put way too much effort these days into the tags. So the tags are good for the purpose of basically just giving context to what the video is about. If you're using tags in your videos, then it just helps YouTube systems have context in terms of what your video is about so that they can categorize your videos accordingly and so that they can put them in front of the right audiences. These also have an impact on monetization as well. Not in if you're monetized or not, but more of a what ads show up on your video. Now, of course, that all comes from the topic of your video and who's seeing it and all that. But this helps with your ads and what ads are displayed on your videos. So important to use. The next thing is, let's say that you are making videos in Spanish. I know there's just recently a video posted on the StreamYard channel that it was in, I believe it was in Spanish. And on that particular video, in that situation, you want to make sure that if you are doing a video in Spanish or even in English or whatever language it is that you might happen to speak, you want to make sure that that is also marked appropriately, because one of the really important things about YouTube is basically their goal is trying to put your content or trying to put the right content in front of the right user at the time that that user is the most likely to engage in that piece of content. So because of that, you want to also use this as an option to help their system categorize quickly, to basically give their system a head start on who is the right fit for your particular videos. So for example, if you have a Spanish-speaking YouTube channel and you're doing Spanish-speaking live streams, then it doesn't make sense to have your video language in English in this situation. You want to make sure that it is set to Spanish in that situation. If you're speaking English, you want to make sure it's set to English so that people that are consuming English content on YouTube, they're more likely to see this than somebody speaking any other language, okay? Now, of course, YouTube is auto-captioning your streams or auto-captioning your videos, so their system will detect this, and over time, they'll do it as well, but you just want to speed all of that stuff up so that you can make sure that you're giving their system the context it needs to best categorize your content. Now, if we hop over here again, another thing that you want to also do is, if your videos were uploaded before, I think it was September, they have it right here. It's like September of 2014, I think, if we hover over this. 2012. Okay. Then basically what you do in this situation by saying that it's never been aired on US television is you're telling them that, hey, this is not something that has a caption requirement attached to it. So because of that, the captions are not required for this, but of course you still want to make sure that you're adding captions as well, just for the sake of accessibility. But this is, in this situation, you're saying that captions are not a requirement since it hasn't aired on TV before. Now, as we keep going down, the recording date doesn't really matter. Video location, this only matters really if you are targeting a local market. So let's say, for example, if you're live streaming as a real estate agent, then in that situation, it would make sense to put the video location here. But in most cases, you're not going to need that. The next thing on this list, this is extremely important, and I cannot stress the importance of this enough. So what I'm getting ready to show you here for the license and distribution area of the settings in here. So if you have this set to standard YouTube license, then in that situation, what you're doing is you're giving YouTube permission to use it, but that content is still pretty much protected, right? So it's saying that, YouTube has the permission to use it, you have the permission to use it, but other people can't just download that content and re-upload it to YouTube or re-upload it elsewhere on the internet. However, if you have this set to Creative Commons with attribution, what you're doing in that situation is you're literally giving people the option, and you can actually search for videos to where they do have the Creative Commons attribution for the license. And what you're doing in that situation, you're actually giving people permission to just download your videos and use them pretty much wherever they want on the internet, as long as they give you credit. So because of that, you want to make sure that you have this particular setting. You want to make sure that you have that set to the standard YouTube license and not Creative Commons for attribution. And when you do this, this is going to help you keep from having your content stolen and reused and uploaded all over the internet. So just make sure that you do this. And here's the thing that's important to know about this. There are YouTube's really good about, not monetizing reused content, but there are tons of people on YouTube that will just search for videos that are Creative Commons with attribution, and they'll build entire channels around them. So if all of your content is content that is Creative Commons attribution. What you're doing, even though they wouldn't be able to monetize, what you're doing is you're basically allowing as many people that want to start YouTube channels with your stuff to just download it. If they want to do a little edit to it or something like that, they can, and then they can just upload it, and then they can start using that content. So because of that, you want to make sure that you always have that set to YouTube standard for the purpose of protecting, the hard work that you're putting into your live streams. Now, as we keep going down the page here, the next thing you're going to see is entertainment. Now, by default, StreamYard will put your categories entertainment. And again, in this situation, remember, what we're trying to do is we're trying to give YouTube systems context to what your live stream is about, who it is, in terms of the right people that are going to be, the right candidate to watch your live stream. So because of that, you want to also make sure that your videos are and your live streams are categorized correctly. So in this particular situation, I left it as entertainment, but typically on my YouTube channel, I'll do it as film and animation. If you're doing autos, cars, anything about cars, and of course, autos and vehicles is a good fit. And most of this stuff is pretty cut and dry. And the way that you want to look at this is if you don't find like the exact thing, right? If you don't find like, oh, well, my content is exactly this, then just try to get it as close as you can. And the reason for that is because what this is doing, again, YouTube systems, they're smart enough once they, process everything and they start figuring out who the right people are that are responding positively to the content. Their systems are smart enough to kind of auto do a lot of this stuff. However, what you want to do is you want to speed up that process by giving their system as much context as you possibly can. So because of that, you want to make sure that you're using that category option, but you don't need to spend like tons of time and tons of like stress making sure that you have the right category chosen for it. Instead, do the best that you can in terms of, the thing that would be the closest match, and then let it go. And the reason for that is because YouTube, in addition to the categories they give us here, they have a lot more categories as well that they will put content into. So because of that, just do the best that you can here. And then later, because that's that initial context that we're trying to give. And then later their systems will, identify the right place to put it based on who it is that's responding to it and what their systems have, picked up in terms of what the video is about and so on. Next thing you want to do, as we are going down here, next thing you want to do is for the comment availability, you want to make sure that you allow all comments in this situation. You can also do hold potentially inappropriate comments for review. And in this situation, like let's say, let's think about how you would use this, okay? So in this situation, let's say that you are representing a brand or you are representing your own brand. In that situation, then you would want to put hold inappropriate comments for review, because if there was a bunch of people in your chat and a bunch of people are leaving inappropriate comments, then that would reflect poorly. If those are visible, that would reflect poorly on you and of course the brand that you're representing in that situation. That would also just reflect poorly, just on like how you're running things and all that. So because of that, you want to, make sure that you also have that set on held right here, the hold potentially inappropriate comments for review. You can do hold all comments for review, but I would not recommend that. And I also would not recommend disabling your comments if you can, if you can avoid it. I also, for the sake of making things easy on yourself, I'll typically set this to newest, but every now and then I'll forget and it'll just display top by default. But if you set this to newest, then basically it makes the default comments just come in a stream instead of sorting it by the top comments. The next thing that is really important is that, of course, you want to make sure that you have live chat enabled, which you'll see right here. And you also want to make sure that you have allow live chat to replay. So I've seen in the StreamYard community Facebook group, which if you are watching this live stream and you are a StreamYard user and you're not in the StreamYard Facebook community, you need to be. So if you just go and you look for StreamYard community on Facebook, it will pop up and I recommend that you join. So you can ask questions, things like that, about anything that you have with the software, anything you're trying to accomplish with your stream. Really helpful group. But when it comes to the chat replay, there's been people in there that have said, hey, I posted a video or I posted my live stream, but the chat disappeared after I published. This is why. Because they didn't have the allow live chat to replay checked. And because of that, the replay just automatically, went away after the stream as it converted it into a piece of video content. Now, the next thing that we're going to do, and this is going to get a little bit explicit here. So I just want to give you the heads up on the next thing that we are going to be looking at here, because it is a little bit explicit. So if you do have youngins hanging out, there's going to be a few words in here. I'm not actually going to say them verbally, but they're going to show up on screen. And the reason for this is, I'll just copy them and paste them out. we'll just do it that way. I'm just going to copy and paste them out so that you can, so that you don't have to worry about it. Let's see here. Let me go into here, and I'm just going to delete all of these really quick. And the reason that I'm showing you this is because this is another thing. I'll just hit X, and then I will do it that way. Okay, so let me hit save. Perfect. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do for your settings is we are going to go down in here into the settings, and then we are going to go down into community. Now, one thing inside here, inside of the community, is if you scroll down, just as a heads up on YouTube, this is where you add moderators in case you're wondering of, where is it that you do that? You just type in the channel name and it'll pop up. But as we're scrolling down, no offense to the hidden users here, but as we're scrolling down, you're going to see this little area here called blocked words. Now, in the blocked words list, what you can do here is, let's say that you have certain things with your live stream that people always say. Let's say they come in and they talk about, hey, you're too old. Or they talk about, hey, you don't have any hair. Or they talk about, hey, you say this particular thing funny. Or they do, whatever. Or they just want to come in and say a bunch of bad words. Or they want to do on YouTube, a real common thing for people that don't know what they're doing on YouTube is they'll offer like a subscribe in exchange for a subscribe. So it's like a sub for sub is what you'll see in the comments. But basically what you do is you take all of these things and you add them to this blocked words list. And when you do that, what's going to happen is when somebody says something in your live stream with one of these words in it, then YouTube is going to automatically hold that comment for review to where you don't have to see it. Nobody in your chat has to see it. And YouTube is just going to hold it. And it's not going to be a publicly visible thing. So this is going to protect you in the event. If you put a bunch of bad words in here, it's what I do in mine. That's why I had to delete it. but what's going to happen is in this situation is you are going to, fill this up with a bunch of, potty words, and you're also going to fill it up with, things about your brand. So, for example, let's say that you're talking about something that is controversial. And you always have people come in, let's say that we just do it around politics, right? Let's say that you have, let's say you're making content about one side or the other, and you always have people from the other side come in and then they fill your comments with a bunch of stuff and use certain languages or they use certain words of certain politicians, things like that, or certain parties, however you want to do it. Then in that situation, you can block all of those words here, and then YouTube will catch those automatically for you. So it'll keep everything a lot cleaner for you. Now, in addition to that, if you scroll down here, you also want to make sure that you have this block links checked. And the reason that you want to make sure that you have this checked is because when you block links, this will prevent spammers from being able to spam during your live stream. Now, YouTube's really good about catching that kind of stuff anyway. But what this is doing, it's explicitly telling YouTube, I do not want links in my chat. And this is going to apply what you put here in your blocked words and what you apply. And when you click this block links, it's going to apply in your video content, and it's going to apply in your live stream content as well. Now, another thing that I want to bring to your attention here, and this is going to help you on your workflow side of things. And a lot of people, if you're new to content creation, and let's say that you only do live streams and you don't spend a ton of time like on the YouTube side because you're just, publishing from StreamYard, for example. Another thing that you can do is you can also set, now this only applies directly to YouTube. So at this point in time, StreamYard doesn't pull this at this moment. They might do that in the future, but at this point in time, they don't pull this. But if you ever stream directly to YouTube, or if you're also uploading video content in addition to your live streams, the upload defaults here saves you a ton of work, because if you have very specific links and very specific things that you want to put in your live streams in the description, and you want to put it in there every time, this gives you the opportunity to do it so you don't have to copy and paste it. It's already built into their system. But one thing that you can do here is that you can go ahead and set your visibility if you want to. You can go ahead and set additional tags as well if you want to do that. But I recommend you go ahead and fill this out as well, because one, you can copy and paste directly out of here if you want for StreamYard, or you can have this as well, just so it's there when you, in the event that you upload video content as well. And then another thing inside of your YouTube settings that is also important, Whiskey and Sunshine Off Grid says potty mouth. Yeah, Costume CEO says potty words, tee-hee. Everybody's favorites, right? Potty words. So the next thing that you have here in your settings is you also have your keywords as well. So if you are talking about certain things in your content all the time, or your channel has a theme or a niche of some kind, you also want to make sure that you're using the channel keywords as well. And then once we go into the advanced settings on the YouTube side, now this doesn't apply. You still have to do this for every single live stream, but for your video content, you can also set this to default for your for the not for kids or for kids, or to let you review for each one. And then of course, as we scroll down, this is another one to where you can check this to not show potentially inappropriate words. And then the rest of it isn't really that important. Display the number of people subscribed to my channel. You don't really want to mess with that. But in terms of the YouTube settings, those are really important. Now, the playlist thing that I'm going to talk to you about, or that I'm going to show you, is I'm not sure if it's going to let me do it because I'm in here on a management account instead of a normal one, but let's see. So basically to get to where I'm going, and yeah, it's going to let me. Okay, so to get to where I'm going, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to click into a playlist. If you don't have any playlists, then what you can do is you can click on new playlist up here, and then you can start building your playlist out. But what I want to show you is if you click into the playlist itself, once you actually have it built, then you have an option here to where you can go down into your playlist settings. Now, if you go down into your playlist settings, you're going to see these options right here. But the thing that I really want to bring to your attention is what I was talking about before in terms of YouTube recommending your live streams or your video content next to other live streams or pieces of video content. This right here, when you mark this as a set official series for this playlist, what you're doing in that situation is you're telling YouTube that the videos or the live streams that are in that playlist are directly related to each other in some way. So what YouTube tells us in the YouTube Creator Academy, which I recommend that everybody that's watching this goes through, it's free. It's provided by YouTube. It basically they show you the best practices about YouTube. So basically in the YouTube Creator Academy, they tell us that if we have that box checked, that their system is more likely to show the other videos in that series next to the videos that somebody would be watching. So let's say, for example, you have 3 videos in the series. If somebody is watching video number 2, well, the likelihood of video number 3 and or video number 1 showing up is going to be increased just because you hit that little slider on that playlist. So it's going to help you out. That way. So in terms of the settings themselves for YouTube, in terms of the things that you need to make sure that you're being exceptionally mindful about, those are the specific things. So now we will get into the oh, we got Whiskey and Sunshine saying didn't know about that one. Okay, so now I want to get into the Q&A portion of this live stream. I'm going to go to the StreamYard channel here really quick to pull these up. Or actually, here, I'll just pull them directly from the chat over here so I can toss them on screen. So yeah, so if anybody has any question about YouTube and how it pertains to live streaming or even your video content, like I just want to help you with what it is that you're doing on YouTube. So if it's your live streams, if it's your video content, like I just want to help you like do better on YouTube. So because of that, if you have any questions about what it is that you're doing on YouTube in relation to live streaming, definitely, now's the time. So you can go ahead and put it in the chat right now. And while you're doing that, I'm going to take a quick sip of coffee if anybody has any questions. Preet Panu, what's going on? Nice to see you in here. James Pruitt, what's up? Hope that you are doing fantastic as well. And it looks like we might not have any questions. Mr. Cast Iron, good morning. Hope that you are doing fantastic. Cash the Line says that the live chat replay sometimes takes time to come back as well, even with that checked. Yeah. And another thing as well, which you may or may not have noticed yet, is that YouTube does give us the option to edit our live streams as well. So some people will have like a 10-minute buffer before they live stream. And when they have that 10-minute buffer for the live stream, they'll still have like, all this extra, like content behind that 10-minute buffer. But then when they leave that 10-minute buffer, it hurts the replay of the live stream. So because of that, a lot of people will cut that out. But when they cut that out, that actually will also, because YouTube will reprocess that as a piece of content. And when they do that, you're actually going to lose the chat replay. So if possible, you want to try to start your live streams and you want to stream just in general, you want to try to get those to a point to where right when it comes on, you're like, hey, in this live stream, we're talking about this. This is exactly what it is that we're doing for the sake of the actual replay itself. Francina Harrison, the career engineer, says first time viewer, welcome to the live stream. I hope that you are fantastic. So let's see here. So the Tennis Pro Doc, hey, what's up? Nice to see you here. Says, I've heard from you and multiple other credible sources that you lose subs every time you go live. So for someone with a younger channel, what is the upside versus the downside? Great question. I'm putting this one on screen for anybody that comes in. So basically, when it comes to your live streams, and losing subscribers. I've seen that happen in more than one occasion. Like I've seen that happen on my channel. I've seen it happen on a bunch of other channels as well, but it doesn't always happen on other channels. So one thing that is important to make sure that you understand when it comes to your YouTube channel is what it is that you're trying to do. So for me, I'm doing fantastic, right? YouTube has completely changed my life. It's changed the trajectory of like everything that I've been doing for the last 6 years, and it's been a fantastic experience to me. So because of that, I like to spend 3 to 4 or 5 or 6, depending on how, however long hours it is live streaming, just because I want other people to have a similar experience that I've had in terms of it just being a life game changer, right? So because of that, I try to give as much help as I possibly can. And because of that, my live streams are more about the community aspect. So for me, it's more about people being able to ask a question, just like you did right here, and me being able to answer that question in real time, to where if I can have an entire live stream, because I'll typically get over the course of my stream, for like a 3-hour stream, I'll get between like 6,000 and 12,000 people in there over the course of the stream. And my goal for every single live stream is to have at least hopefully a few people that will hear and understand something, to where they'll be like, oh, that's what I need to start doing. And then they start doing it, and then they start getting, the results that they're after on the live stream, or somebody's like, hey, yeah, I didn't know that we even needed to do that. So, now I'm going to start trying that. And then they're one step closer in the knowledge that they have, or maybe the skill that they have or whatever, they're one step closer to be able to, take full advantage of the platform as well. So for me, that's my goal with it. So it's worth losing subscribers for the sake of helping the people that are, helping a few people that might, really take the information and run with it. So for me, it's more worth it to, like, I look at the positive side, right? It's like, if it costs me a few subscribers that probably don't care anyway, or they might not be watching the content anymore, or whatever it happens to be, if I'm gonna sacrifice a few subscribers for the sake of helping other people, turn their life around, or use YouTube to like really create something awesome for themselves. That's kind of a Roberto Blake phrase there on the create something awesome, but you get the idea. But like, if I can, help somebody do that, that's more than worth the subscribers that I've lost on the channel. And the Tennis Pro Doc, in fact, on my YouTube channel, I've actually lost over 200,000 subscribers since I started the channel. So if it wasn't, and that's from video content and live streams as well, but my live streams, I take a big loss. But it's really important to really to really know what it is that you're after. So for example, if you're like, hey, I just want view counts and I want subscriber counts, and like that's what matters, then in that situation, live streams might not be the thing for you. But if you're like, hey, I want to grow a community, I want to, I want to be able to answer questions in real time and have just a closer connection with the people that I'm trying to impact, then in that situation, then you might look at live streams as an asset, like I do. But if you're like, hey, I just want the views and the subscribers and the ad revenue and that kind of stuff, which is fine. Right? We all have different, it's fine. Like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's totally cool. But if that's the thing, then in that case, live streaming might not be the best fit in that particular situation. Okay, let's see here. So next up on our list here. Okay, so Preet says, I'm not getting good views on my videos. I took 4 months break when moving house. Yeah, so basically the thing with YouTube is like, watch history is important for people. So if you have a thriving channel to where you still have a lot of activity happening even in your absence, then in that situation, your channel can continue to do fine, so that as you step back in, even after you've moved or whatever, when you step back into your channel, then you just kind of pick up right where you left off. It's not a big deal. In other cases, if you don't have a lot of activity, and your channel kind of lives and dies by the videos that you publish, then in that situation, what can happen is, if you are publishing videos, then your stats are going like this. But if you're not publishing videos, then they're going to drop off like this. And then when that happens, then when you come back, you don't have a lot of people that have recently interacted with your channel, at least not at scale. And because of that, when you start publishing again, then you can have a little bit of work to do in order to get in front of more people. But at the end of the day, all you have to do is have your live stream or your video, whichever. All you have to do in that situation is have one that people do respond to, and then you kick that engine back up again, in terms of, you've gotten people to click, participate in a live stream or your video, and then YouTube deems that as a satisfactory experience for their particular users that are interacting with it, and then therefore that will help that video continue to thrive. But with live streams and video content, when it comes to YouTube, now I'm not talking about Facebook or anywhere else. But when it comes to YouTube, how people respond to that content is extremely important. So if you're not getting much traction on your live streams, it's because, one, you haven't built an audience yet. Two, it could just be how you're packaging it in terms of the topic, title, and thumbnail. Because if you can't package it in a way to where people are like, oh, I want to watch this, this seems interesting, or I need to see that, then in that situation, it can cause, lower viewership or no viewership if you're packaging it the wrong way. The Crochet Queen says, this is so informative. I will replay again. Glad that you are enjoying the content. So Fila Fanatic says, on Facebook, the view count is accurate the day of the live stream from StreamYard. So when it comes to Facebook, I'm not sure. Like, my thing is YouTube. So that's the thing that I spend, all of my time, like researching and looking and studying and testing and all that stuff. So when it comes to like Facebook, LinkedIn, things like that, they have other people that live stream here as well that can help with those areas. But in addition to that, make sure that you're in the StreamYard community on Facebook, because you can probably just make that post and you'll have a bunch of people come in there and give you some good advice on that one. Let's see here as we scroll down. Whiskey and Sunshine Off Grid says, should I upgrade StreamYard to get better quality live streams? 1080. Our internet is terrible and video is not good. So if you can't push 1080, then in that situation, it doesn't make sense to upgrade. But if you can push 1080, then I would, because 1080 these days is kind of a standard, even though most people are depending on your content, if you're doing like tutorials and stuff that are like, like desktop required, then in that situation, you might have more desktop users. But across the platform, mobile viewership, and this is important for everybody to know too, mobile viewership on YouTube is like 80% of their traffic, almost 80% of their traffic. Some sources say more, but YouTube actually says it's like 70 plus. But some people that really stay on the curve of this stuff, they say like 80 or more for mobile viewership. So because of that, you would think, hey, I can just push 360 and I'm fine. But in reality, like 1080 is pretty much the standard now. So you want to at least try to get to that if you can. Let's see here. As we scroll down, we've got, is it better to have video in multiple playlists or just one series playlist? Great question. Is it better to have a video in multiple playlists or just one series playlist? I currently have an all quilts playlist as well as a breakout playlist for different types. So here's the thing. So when it comes to playlists on YouTube, a video can be in as many playlists as you want to put it in. You can include your videos. You can include any other videos on the platform in a regular playlist. They don't even have to be on your channel. However, when it comes to a series playlist, each video can only be in one series playlist, and the series playlist videos can only be videos from your channel. That's the thing that separates them. That's why the series is powerful. So when it comes to putting videos in multiple playlists, that's totally fine. But when it comes to the series playlist, just make sure that you are strategic about the series playlist, because what you want to think of is when you're putting a series playlist together, you don't want to just stack 30 videos in there, because the likelihood of somebody watching 30 videos, especially live streams that are like 30 minutes to an hour long, watching those back to back is going to be very low. So because of that, to get a better performance out of that series playlist, then, try to keep it to like, 3 videos, 5 videos, maybe 6 videos. If your videos are really short or your streams are really short, then in that case, kind of max it out at like 8 or 10. But even with your playlists, you will be able to see in your stats like the exit rate in terms of, like, hey, people are typically leaving, once they're through this much of the playlist and that kind of thing. You can see that inside of your analytics as well to kind of help guide you a little bit better on the tolerance of your audience for how many videos you can put in a playlist. But in terms of like what's better, I would do one series playlist that's very well thought out and kind of think down the road. You don't have to, like when you're publishing videos and live streams, you don't have to put all of them out at the same time that's in the series. You can be working on a series for the next year. So you can say, hey, if you're doing quilting, then you could have, like, hey, this 3 to 5 video series, I just have 2 videos in there right now, but over the course of the next like 6 months, I'm going to add like 3 more, right? Like you can do that sort of thing as well. You don't have to just, flood that series playlist. Let's see here. Badura says that, no offense, your product is very expensive, $39 a month for full HD. It's actually a fantastic price. And the reason that it is because if you're a content creator, right? Like I'm a professional content creator. This is what I do. So if you're a content creator, or if you're somebody that is wanting to be a professional content creator, all this stuff comes with costs. In my opinion, they should charge more. So in my personal opinion, I think that people are getting a steal for the ease of use with StreamYard, the consistency with StreamYard in terms of, like everything works all the time. You don't have to like worry about anything like not working. For StreamYard taking the load off of your computer and handling, all the processing and evening out your audio and all that stuff on the back end. Yeah, it's a steal in my opinion. I think they should charge more for it. Let's see here. Faith Vista says, I have a question about live streams. If I only have a few viewers, like 1 in 5 live streams, is this still helpful to do live stream? So what you want to think about, Faith, is when you are live streaming, it's important to have a purpose for live streaming. So when you are uploading video content and or live streaming, it's important that everything that you do on YouTube, right? And again, this isn't in reference to LinkedIn or Facebook or anything like that. This is YouTube specific. When it comes to YouTube, you should have a purpose for every piece of content that you put out. So if the purpose of your live stream is community building and you only have 1 to 5 viewers in there, then, you're starting. If they're consistently in there, then you're starting to build that community. But what's also important to think about is it's also an easy piece of content, right? Like going live, like it doesn't get any easier in terms of making content because you do it on the fly. When it's done, you're done. So because of that, if you're doing it for the sake of content, then in that case, don't even think about, like, hey, I've only got 5 people in here. I've only got 2 people in here. Think, okay, I'm going to start this like it's a video. I'm going to go through it and I'm basically recording a live video, but I'm actually doing it live. And then when it's finished, it's finished. And then in that case, you're not really worried about how many people are in there because you're creating a piece of content. But as your channel grows, you'll start noticing, hey, more and more people come in. So I'm not going to make a big deal about it. But as people come in, maybe I'm going to, shout them out. Hey, well, welcome to the stream. This is what we're doing in the stream. And then you start, talking to people more over time. And then, of course, for those, 1 to 5 people that are coming in, you want to acknowledge them too. But just, quick acknowledgement is fine in that situation. Let's see here. As we scroll down the page, White Noise Studios like Quilt. Yep. Doing a lot of quilt talk lately. Even talking about quilt stuff in my podcast, using it for references. It's great. Let's see here. So Francina Harris says, I'm really trying to up my viewers. So this is great info. Okay, so Francina, so here's the thing. If you're trying to up your viewers, here's what you got to think of when it comes to YouTube. So I'm not sure if you've ever watched one of my live streams on my channel or if you've watched any of my content. So I'm going to kind of start from the beginning here. So when it comes to getting any type of traction, any type of activity on YouTube, here's what's important. 1, you have to make sure that you are able to get people to click on what it is that you're doing. Getting people to click on what it is that you're doing, get people to click on your videos or live streams. Getting people to click comes down to the topic of your live stream, making it clear in the actual title itself what your live stream is about, and also making it clear in the thumbnail what your live stream is about. So what you want to think about when you're putting your titles and your thumbnails and the topic together for your live streams is you want to think about why would somebody find this interesting? And if you can't define that at that point in time, then start working on it. Say, okay, well, right now, this isn't really interesting. So what can I do? So let me add something compelling to the title. Let me try to do something that would be interesting to the viewers that I'm trying to reach in the thumbnail, and make sure that it's on topic, because what you want to do when you're trying to get people to click is you want to make sure that they can easily identify that what it is that you're doing is for them through the imagery that you're using. For example, on my clips channel that I was showing here before as the example, I had somebody in the comment section say, hey, my channel isn't doing fantastic. Could you look at my channel? Their entire channel was about, they're like a Michael Jackson fan. And the entire channel was about like Michael Jackson memorabilia and like all this stuff about Michael Jackson. However, in the thumbnails, a lot of their thumbnails were like them, and the focus was on them, but you would see like them barely see the Michael Jackson memorabilia. So in their exact situation, a better approach so that somebody can identify through the imagery that you're using, a better approach in that situation is to say, hey, I'm going to focus on fan imagery here with Michael Jackson, so that as somebody gets recommended my video on the homepage, people that care about Michael Jackson fandom, they can see that Michael Jackson will grab their attention because that's what they care about, and then that will be more likely to entice them to come in, as long as the title is a good match for what's going on in the thumbnail. Same exact thing goes with like sports content, food content, anything. So like as an example there, just so you can have the reference. So if you're making sports content, then even if you're sitting in an office, like let's say that I was talking about sports content in this video right now, then in this situation, I would still have the thumbnail represent the specific sport that I was talking about. So if I was talking about baseball or football or soccer or whatever it was, I would have that type of imagery in the thumbnail so that people would be able to identify that is something that I care about. If it's somebody that cared about soccer, for example, then it would be like, hey, whatever's going on here, there's soccer. So if I like soccer and I'm like a super fan of soccer, I see a thumbnail of soccer right out of the gate without even having to think about it. I already know I'm interested. From there, it comes down to, you know, the additional things that you do with your thumbnail, and it comes down to your title in order for you to, you know, actually get that person to click. But the idea is for them to visually identify this is for me, right? Because it's all about the viewer, right? We are trying to reach the people that are going to be viewing the content. So on the click side, those are things that you got to think about. Also, just in case you haven't, you know, interacted with my content in any way, another thing you want to make sure that you're doing when you're writing your titles is the thing that the person is going to be the most likely to respond to. You want to try to put that within the first 50 characters of your title. And the reason for that is because YouTube truncates or cuts off titles in different places on the platform. So because of that, you want to make sure that the most important thing that is going to grab the attention of the human, you're not thinking algorithm in this situation. You're not thinking anything like that. You're thinking, I'm a human and I'm trying to reach another human, hopefully a bunch of other humans, right? But I'm a human, I'm trying to reach other humans. So therefore, I'm going to write my title in a way that is going to, sure, you want to make sure that you add a keyword of some kind for the sake of context for most types of content, but I need to make sure that the thing that would grab the human's attention is as close to the front as of the title as possible, so that if somebody is looking on their homepage and they see my video, the imagery matches, they go down to read the title. If you're making videos in English, they're reading from left to right. So they look at your thumbnail, they go down to read your title, and then you have an additional thing that is of interest to them at the beginning of your title. Okay. So those are some things that you want to think about when you're trying to get people to click. There's, of course, you know, we could talk about just getting people to click for like another 2 hours, but, you know, that's kind of like the nutshell version. Now, when it comes to getting people to watch the content, that's another thing that's really important to YouTube. So what YouTube is trying to accomplish is they're looking for how much watch time they can generate per impression. So what that means is an impression is every time YouTube shows your content to somebody in the platform. So for example, if I go down here, right? So we have Justin's video on StreamYard right here. So technically, this right here, because he's not fully on the screen yet, down here at the bottom of the screen is the one I'm looking at. So technically, since this thumbnail isn't fully presented on the screen yet, this doesn't yet count as an impression. But as soon as I do this, now this right here just has an impression. So since I'm not clicking on any of these videos, this is actually hurting the click-through rate on all three of these videos right now, with the exception of the StreamYard video, because I'm logged into, actually, no, I'm not logged into the StreamYard account on this computer. So yeah, right now I'm hurting the click-through rate on all three of these thumbnails. And then as I keep scrolling down, as each one of these comes into view, it's becoming an impression, okay? So what YouTube is trying to do is they're trying to generate as much watch time per impression as possible. So that translates into how much do people click when your thumbnail and title is presented to them on the platform, and then how long do they watch, right? So basically what you want to make sure that you do, YouTube gives us something called an audience retention report inside of our stats, and I'll actually show it to you. So the audience retention report, and I'll show you one of the ones from the Clips channel, because these are just abysmal, by the way, but I'm just going to show it to you anyway so you can see. Let's see here. So this is on the Clip channel. So I just picked this one on collabs just to pick a random one here. And if we go down here, you can see the audience retention, right? So what this is this is a second-by-second report of how people respond to every second of this video. So what you want to do in your situation for your video content or for your live stream content is you want to go for the replay, and you want to say, okay, how are people reacting when this video first starts? If this starts and people leave and they're like down here, then you have a lot of work to do in that beginning part in terms of grabbing people's attention. But if it's like this, then, you know, that's okay. But then this video starts to, you know, trail off pretty quick. And for a 4-minute video, this is actually, you know, not fantastic at all in any way, shape, or form. But what I'm wanting to show you here, though, is that YouTube is tracking all of this. And what you ultimately want to do is keep people watching for as long as possible. Now, if you want to see how your videos do in comparison, because there's a lot of good videos uploaded to YouTube, a lot of bad videos uploaded to YouTube, if you change this to relative audience retention instead of audience retention, what this does is this shows you how your videos compare to other videos on the platform of similar length. So we can see here that this particular one, even though it's abysmal in terms of the audience retention, it actually was above average, or it was average until right around, we're still average, we're still trucking here, until right at the 3 minute and 38 second mark, to where it dropped to below average. But ultimately, you want to, try to have that, average or above average, if possible, in order to continue getting impressions on it. But yeah, so basically when it comes to getting, your videos to perform, it really comes down to that. So what you need to work really hard on is you need to work really hard on getting people to click on what it is that you're doing. And that really just comes down to knowing who it is that you're making content for, right? Like, what does my audience care about, and how can I use what it is that they care about topically, right? I'm making videos about this because they care about this. And how can I use my thumbnails and titles to tap into what it is that they care about, so they can identify it's for them. And then I can also, emotionally attach certain things as well. And then I get them to click. And then once I get them to click, then I got to get them watching the video for a fair amount of time. That's ultimately what you're trying to accomplish on YouTube. John Poland, what's up, dude? Hope that you are doing fantastic. Nice to see you in here. So yeah, so hopefully that if you're not familiar with what's important to YouTube, hopefully that demystified that a little bit for you. Francina Harrison says that excellent tips as I share career advice, job search, interviewing content will work on all that you are sharing. Okay, yeah, fantastic. Pam's Pretty Plants, what's up? Nice to see you in here. Okay, let me go back up here looking for more questions here. Want to go live for the first time using StreamYard, but I'm scared. Facing reality. Okay, here's the thing. When it comes to live streaming, think of it like this. Think of it like you are doing a Skype call, or you are, you're just like hopping on a call with a buddy. Because right now in this moment, I am in this room by myself, right? I'm here by myself. There's nobody here. Just like I would be talking to a buddy on Skype, right? And there's nobody here. It's just me in the room, and I have my computer in front of me, and I know that you guys are watching, right? So that's good. But in terms of how I'm communicating, I basically communicate just like I would be talking to a friend, but I bring the energy up just a tad. And the reason I bring the energy up just a tad is for the sake of being just a little bit more engaging, a little bit more exciting, just so when people come into the stream, I can, hold their attention for a little bit longer. So that's ultimately, the nuts and bolts of it. But here's what you do. If you're afraid, what I recommend that you do is either in your your notes in your phone, or on your computer or your tablet, before you go live, just think about, okay, this is the thing that I'm going to go live. This is the topic. This is the thing that I'm going to talk about. So before I go live, I'm going to write down just a bunch of bullet points. And those bullet points aren't going to be there so that I can say, okay, and then now we're going to talk about this. See, I was on number 4. Like, you're not going to use it like that. You're going to use it as a thing to glance at, so that as you're talking, you just glance over, look at your bullet points real quick, and then you stay on point. Because you're like, okay, this is the thing I'm talking about now. Now I need to move on to the next thing. And over time, you'll get good enough to where you won't you either won't use bullet points at all, or your bullet points will get less and less, or you'll start to have a bullet point with like a little note attached to it, something to kind of lead you in the right direction when you start talking. But if you prepare for your live stream, it becomes a lot less intimidating, because when I go live, I've got stuff to talk about. I'm going to go through this list of bullet points, and then once the bullet points are finished, I'm done. Right? So just approach it like that. And another thing as well, when you're live streaming, it's important to understand that things will go wrong sometimes. You're going to say the wrong things. You might have tech problems with your camera or whatever it happens to be. It's part of the gig. So everybody understands, like right now, if I started having tech problems, some people would leave, but there would be, majority of people would hang out, because they understand, hey, this is live, tech happens. So because of that, it's not a big deal. I'll hang out to see if you can get it worked out. So because of that, just be aware that people look at live streams differently than they do video content. Video content typically needs to be just a tad bit more polished, where live streaming, it's a little bit more free and a little bit more conversational, and people respond, well to it when you try to talk to the camera more like a friend, like you, if you're on Skype or something, compared to looking at it like, oh my gosh, I'm in the spotlight now. What if I screw up and I say something wrong, right? Just embrace it and just be like, you know what? I'm going to go live. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be the best version of me that I can be. And I'm just going to go live, share whatever it is. If it goes awesome, which it probably will, if it goes awesome, I'm going to feel great that I went for it. If it doesn't, then it's just a thing. Okay, well, this is what I didn't like about it. So now, in order to fix that, I need to make some notes for the next live stream that I do, so that when I go live, then I can fix that. Let's see here. So the J Vlog, thanks for the kind words. I just got here. Hello, chat. And what's up, Nick, says XQs. Okay, I'm going to scroll down here, see if we've got any more questions here. So Lady Caudell says, your content and live streams will help me so much. Thank you, Nick. Lady Caudell, I'm happy that you are enjoying the content. And let's see here, live for a few months. Okay, facing reality. Okay, so GG the Crochet Queen says, I've been live for a few months and it's fun. I have a small audience, but I do it every Saturday at 7 p.m. like clockwork. And that's a really important thing. If you are trying to grow a live stream, especially on YouTube, really any platform, being consistent and showing up at the same time, same place, same day of the week or same days of the week is really important. So for example, like here, I stream on the StreamYard channel on the last Tuesday of every month. So because of that, if you want to learn more about, how live streaming pertains to YouTube and how you can do better on YouTube, you can watch my past live streams here on the channel, but you can also show up and hang out, the last Tuesday of the month for my particular live streams. But there's live streams happening on this channel all the time, and you should hang out for all of them. Let's see here. So John Pullum says, I'm currently putting dirty words into my blocked word section. What a fun way to start the morning. Absolutely. Oh, so good. So good. Okay. So it looks like we don't have any additional questions coming in. So I'm just scrolling through here really quick. Okay. So Hotshot Dave, great question. Why do live streams not seem to do well over time, even with full SEO? Okay. So when it comes to YouTube, right? When it comes to YouTube, your full SEO doesn't matter. Like it matters, but it only matters if you can get people to click on your videos and get people to enjoy the content. So YouTube, their system is deeming if people are enjoying it or not by the audience retention that I showed before. But basically, if you're not ranking if your videos aren't showing up in search or they're not staying in search, then what that means is your content compared to the other content that you're competing against, their content is getting clicked on and watched more and shared and all the other, stuff that goes with it. But they're getting more engagement on what it is that they're doing overall, because watch time is considered engagement as well, than what it is that you're doing. So you can have the perfect title, perfect description, perfect tags in your videos, the perfect topic. But if people aren't clicking on it because your title isn't good and your thumbnail isn't good, and then once they do click on it, if they're not, watching that for, a fair, satisfactory, competitive amount of time, then in that situation, then the other people are going to outperform you in those situations. So because of that, it's not how you're doing your metadata most likely. It's more likely that, it's how you're doing your thumbnails or the specific ways that you're writing your title or just the content of the live stream itself. This is why it's so important. And I mentioned this, I think it was on my last live stream here. This is why it's so important to make sure that when your live stream starts, you just go for it. Because a lot of people will like hang out and dilly-dally and all that stuff, if that's even a word, but they'll hang out and they'll, just kind of, waste a bunch of time waiting for people to show up. And what they're not thinking of in that situation is like, how does that impact the replay? Because if somebody comes into this on the replay, then they're just like, okay, well, what? I'm watching a video and I just got to sit here and like wait for it. Right? Nobody, people don't do that. It's YouTube. There's a bajillion videos for them to watch. So you have to be able to grab somebody's attention as soon as they come in. Let's see here. John, have you done any YouTube short videos yet? So I actually have the option on one of my accounts, John. I've got it in my phone. So I haven't done it on my channel, on my main channel, but I have played with it a little bit on another channel, 2 other channels actually. Let's see here. So Pop to Heat says, hey, Nick, with StreamYard, is there a way to remove images from the brand section? Absolutely. If you hover over the image here, let me do it here. So we're going to go into a tunnel here. So bear with me. Whoa, wait. Oh no. Okay. So, basically if you come into here, all you have to do if you're in the brand section is if you hover over it, you're going to see the little X pop up over in the corner, right? So in this situation, if I click this little X, then this is going to disappear. So all you have to do in order to get those out of there for the ones that you don't want is to click that X. In this situation, the StreamYard one's there because it's StreamYard. But for your own personal ones that you upload, you just click the X, and then in that situation, it goes away. Let's see here as I scroll down. Mr. Hideous says, I don't know how to do a live stream. Okay, first thing you got to do, go to StreamYard.com. It's the easiest live streaming platform. It's what I'm using to stream this right now. So go to StreamYard.com and you'll see the interface, right? So go there, sign up. They send you a little code to your email, and then you put that code in, and then you can actually go in And then once you're in there, all you have to do is connect your cam either in your phone or an actual camera or webcam or the actual webcam on your laptop or something if you want. But basically, once you do that, then from there, what you want to do is you want to connect it to whatever account it is that you're going to be streaming to. And then you put in the title, put in the description, and then you go and do all the stuff that I mentioned at the beginning of this because you want to schedule it. And you do all the stuff that I mentioned at the beginning of this stream, and then you go live from there. So all it is literally, if we look at the screen right now, where it says end broadcast up here in the very top right-hand corner, where it says that is, and I just realized I have my my Nimin Live thing on, and I meant to change that to StreamYard beforehand. But basically, right up here in the very corner, where it says end broadcast, typically that will say go live. So if you want to live stream, like it's that simple in terms of the process. That's the great thing about StreamYard is they just make it crazy easy to go live, and not only to go live, but also to be able to add the different graphics and things like that if you want to as well. T said what I said, just a suggestion. I use StreamYard to download my live streams and edit, then re-release them. So I take out all the intro stuff when I re-release a clip from a longer stream. Fantastic suggestion. So T said what T said. Great suggestion there. So basically what they're saying is that they take the stream, they record it inside of StreamYard because StreamYard will, save them also. And they pull it out of there and then they upload that as a standalone piece of content after it's been edited. So it's just a piece of video content. That situation is not a live stream replay. Okay. Yeah, I do something similar I have a clips channel myself. And on that clips channel, I do something similar. So I hope that everybody learned something today. So there's another live stream happening. So the StreamYard team, they are also doing a tech-related live stream. So first, if you're coming here from my channel or any of my social media accounts, I recommend that you subscribe to this channel if you're a live streamer, because the information that's shared here from me, my brother, and all the other people that are sharing content here on the live stream channel, Daniel Battelle, and then of course the team, the StreamYard team, Ross Brand, you want that information. So make sure that you subscribe here and that you come and hang out in the live streams. But there's another live stream happening tonight about tech, and I'm actually going to be on the channel again on Monday talking about my setup. So if you want, because I'm going to set up cameras so you can see specifically what it is that I'm using and how I use it. So if you want to learn more, about the tech side of live streaming, then you want to make sure that you subscribe and you swing by later on when the live stream is happening. I think it's going to be in about like 2 or 3 hours, I believe. So you definitely want to make sure that you are swinging around for that. So again, thank you everybody for hanging out. I hope that you learned something from the stream today. Again, make sure if you haven't yet that you check out the StreamYard community on Facebook. Just look for StreamYard community and it'll pop up so that you can, get your StreamYard questions answered over there. And if you have any questions about, what I talked about here during the live stream today, please post it in that group and make sure that you tag me when you do. And when I see that, then, I'll answer that question so that we can get, specific information for you if you need it. So thank you everybody for hanging out, and have an awesome rest of your week.